So, what's the question is about silence and the role of silence in coaching. Now, on the first level, the silence in coaching is often related to listening. People say, well, obviously, to listen, you have to shut up and be silent. And so, in most coaching, the concern is about, for the coach, is leaving sufficient space for the client to start speaking and to listen to what the client says. Now, this is a very, I would say, the first step or the first level of silence in coaching. I think silence in coaching is much, much more important and pervasive in all of coaching. To give an example, silence is actually the same thing in an interface as a vacuum. And creating silence in a coaching relationship is like creating a vacuum, for instance, like a pump or in a vacuum cleaner or in outer space you have vacuum. Now, vacuum basically serves to aspire or pull. Now, in the coaching relationship, it's to create a vacuum so that the client will go in deeper and deeper and search for internal answers. If the coach doesn't fill the space, then the client will have to fill the space. And how to fill the space? Well, by looking farther and farther inside for personal solutions or personal options and discoveries and so on, new perspectives. So actually, if you take all the coaching tools, they are there to create silence. We could say that actually a coach needs to interrupt a client that is speaking too much about things they know. For instance, they're talking about their life or talking about their problem and they're descriptive. The clients, when they do this, they know what they're saying. They've already said it before. They've already looked at it. And when they're describing this, they're looking at the coach, hoping to get an answer. Now, if the coach interrupts the client by saying, well, you seem to know all this very well, it's very clear for you. So, that will interrupt the client, and the client will say, yeah, now what am I searching for? And they will have to go in deeper and deeper. So what is illustrated here is that actually coaching is an interruptive process. All the tools are in a way there to interrupt the client and help them get into their silence. So the coach silence is not only there for the relationship, it's also to propose that the client go in deeper beyond their silence to look for new formulations, new perspectives, new contours about what they're searching for. We could take another example, which is questions. A lot of people say coaching is the art of asking a powerful question. Now, if you take this into silence, actually the role of a powerful question is to lead a client to their silence. For instance, if a coach asks a question and the client can answer the question, well, it's a lousy question because the client didn't go into their silence to answer it. It's just an informative answer. If the coach asks the client a question and the client says, oh, and starts looking elsewhere and starts searching inside, we could say it's a powerful question because the client has to look for the answer. It helps the client, a powerful question helps the client go into their silence and hopefully go beyond their silence to find some new territories of which they were not aware before. Sometimes a coach will just pick on a word that the client, just used by saying, oh, you just said this. And the client will focus on that word, therefore will interrupt whatever they were saying. We'll focus on the word, we'll think about it, and therefore get into their silence. And then go beyond what that word reveals or hides or whatever. So silence is almost like stopping a client that's moving along. It's interruptive. So techniques are interruptive to get the clients into their silence. and do the real search. So in a way, a definition of coaching is giving client silence. Now, silence is a space also. It's interesting to for instance, notice that clients who come to coaching and say a lot and talk a lot and take up a lot of the space with a lot of information are also clients that have little space in their lives. They delegate little, they have time issues, they fill their lives with a lot of stuff. So by bringing silence and space in a coaching process with the client, actually you're helping the client cherish silence more, go into their silence, create their silence in their lives, and create, therefore, space in their life. We say it's like time-space. In other words, here and now. This is almost a quantum type of concept, where clients who don't have space and don't have silence, actually, it's the same thing. They don't have time. They lack time in their lives for themselves. We could actually say coaching is a luxury service where we give people space and time that they don't have elsewhere. What lacks in the world today for a lot of people is having space. Space and time is a luxury. So coaching is a luxury service. And that's important to know as a coach, because if you take up too much of the client's space, the client is actually paying for something they're not getting. So this is just an overview about how silence and creating a vacuum and creating space for the client to take and own actually is helping them own space and time in their lives and focusing much deeper on their inner aspirations. That's central in coaching, whatever the field.